Hey, it's Notic. Ender Dragons is right around the corner, and with it, 9 new elite specs are on the way. When Cantha arrives, there will be plenty of hero points to grab in the new zones that will allow you to unlock those new specs, and that's totally okay, but I know that some people want to prepare ahead of time. That's why I want to show you a few different ways to get all of the hero points that you need before the expansion drops. Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already to get notified of my uploads. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers on the channel, and I want to see if we can get there before the summer. Oh, and follow me on Twitter too. And just note before we start, I use the phrase hero point and hero challenge interchangeably. A hero challenge gives you a hero point after completing it, but the community pretty much uses a hero point to refer to the challenge and the points that you gain in the hero panel UI. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the video. In total, maxing out an elite spec takes 250 hero points. It takes 30 to unlock the elite spec to begin with, 10 points for each trait that you have, 15 for each skill that you unlock, and 25 at the end for your elite skill. The easiest path to getting enough hero points to max out an elite spec is to go through the expansion map to collect them. Its expansion hero points give 10 points per hero challenge compared to the 1 point of the base game zone. Out of the current 2 expansions, Path of Fire is the easier of the 2 to tackle. This is because every hero point there is either an attune hero point or fight a veteran hero point, and the Path of Fire zones are far more horizontal than they are vertical. In Heart of Thorns, your combat hero points consist of mostly champions, which are way harder to solo, and the maps are extremely vertical, making some hero points downright impossible to get to without certain masteries. Back to the topic at hand though, to get to Path of Fire zones, you have 2 options. The first is doing the first 2 story instances. You start the Path of Fire story in the menu, do the instance where you talk to Ellen Keel, and do the instance right after it that starts on the airship near Lion's Arch Lighthouse. Afterwards, you'll be in Crystal Oasis, and the rest of Path of Fire will be available to you. The other option is, if you have a guild that has the Windswept Haven Guild Hall, you can go there and head towards the southernmost waypoint. There will be a portal there that leads you directly to the domain of Vabi, the last map in Path of Fire. You can get every hero point in Path of Fire with only the Raptor and the Springer, but you will likely need the canyon jumping and the high jump masteries for them. The Skimmer can also be used here for those moments where you need to go over dangerous terrain, such as quicksand, brandstorm, or sulfur. Before getting into this hero point hunt, however, if you're unfamiliar with these maps, I definitely recommend pulling up maps of the zone on the wiki, so you know where exactly the hero points are. Otherwise, you'll have to explore a bit while your map unfogs. The footage you've been seeing on screen has been showcasing how to get to a few of these hero points in more unconventional ways, using the Raptor and the Springer. In the near future, I'll release videos on how to get to every hero point in every Path of Fire map. Let's talk about Heart of Thorns now. The footage you'll be seeing for this section are methods of reaching some of the more difficult to reach, yet still easy to obtain hero points, using only your glider. Pressing spacebar in midair will deploy your glider, and pressing it again will stow it. You can use this to maneuver yourself in midair, and in doing so, you can reach many hero points that are way down below you on the map, or in areas out of reach of the normal player jump range. Once again, I recommend looking up maps of each Heart of Thorns zone. Heart of Thorns has more hero points than Path of Fire does, but a lot of them will not be all that accessible to a solo player, unless you're capable of taking on champion tier enemies on your own, or have certain masteries. I noticed that earlier in the previous section, but I want to state it again. I'll put maps up on the screen for a few moments that will show you which hero points are easily obtainable solo, not including Dragon Stands, as a lot of that map's hero points are meta-locked. Feel free to screenshot or pause the video here, but I'll also be showing you how to reach a few of these hero points as well. I'll be releasing videos in the future that cover each map, and how to reach those hero points with gliding or mounts. I don't want to go into detail about them in this video, otherwise it will go on for quite a long time, since Heart of Thorns is not really known to be the simplest zones to traverse. But going to the expansion zones is not the only way that you have to get these expansion hero points. You can also get them through PvP in World vs. World, and in these game modes you get this currency called Testimony of Heroics, which you can get through opening the end box of reward tracks in PvP and World vs. World, or in World vs. World specifically, opening the Chest of the Mists that you get from ranking up, or opening the skirmish chest you get from getting enough pips in the World vs. World menu. I wouldn't recommend doing this method for every hero point in the expansion zones, as there are 690 total across both expansions, but you can definitely use it for those hero points in Heart of Thorns that you can't quite get because of them being champions champions that you have to kill. You can get 6 testimonies per skirmish chest, 2 to 10 per chest of the mist, and 10 per end of reward track box. Once you've gathered these, you can visit a Heroics Notary NPC, either World vs. World or PvP, to purchase Notarized scrolls. Please keep in mind that the ones that you want are the Notarized scrolls of Maguma or Desert Heroics for 10 testimonies each. You should only get the ones that cost 1 testimony if you have no more expansion hero points to get. The one that costs 1 testimony will give you a hero point from the base game that only give you 1 hero point per. You could just go pick those up yourself, which leads us to our final and least effective method of getting hero points in prep for EOD. There are 189 1-point hero challenges in the base game, spread out across the entire base game's playable area. There are 11 more in Dry Top and the Silver Waste, and 13 in the World vs. World maps. They are not very worth it compared to the time invested if you're for some reason aiming to get all 213 of them from having 0. It's not even enough to fully max an elite spec, but chances are that if you've played the base game at all in order to level, you grabbed a few of these already, and have applied them to your traits. At level 80 this leaves extra hero points that you can use to trade into your elite specs, and in doing that, it creates less of a need to get as many from expansion zones, depending on how many you grab from the base game. A player that has managed to grab every hero point in the current game will be able to max out 3 elite specs and still have enough left over on that character to progress a bit through a 4th if one ever comes out. A player that has just grabbed every hero point in the expansion zones will be able to max out 2 elite specs and still have a good chunk left over to get a good head start until their 3rd. Cantha's gonna add even more, making it even easier to save it for the future. Over the next week, I'll be sure to release videos on how to get the hero points of both expansions, so those will be available to you. It's the 3rd time I'm saying it, and it's a promise that I'm gonna keep. The first will be released on Saturday, January 29th, 2022. If I upload this on Friday, that'll be tomorrow, so look out for that. With that all said, I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it to be useful. Leave a comment down below telling me what your favorite elite spec is, and I'll see you in the next one.